Excellencies, Minister Srilan, Honorable Minister Sledbein, colleagues, hydrologists, friends, this is a warm welcome from my side. My name is Stefan Ullenbrock. I work for the World Meteorological Organization, where I'm the Director for Hydrology, Water and Cryosphere. It is a distinct pleasure standing here this morning to open this session today, which is quite a remarkable session for us at WMO. As part of the Cairo Water Week, as well as the Africa Water Week, we have embedded what we call the Africa Hydrological Conference, which is the first time the WMO organizes this meeting. And first, I really would like to thank the organizers of Cairo Water Week and Africa Water Week to host this couple of sessions which we cluster together as the Africa Hydrological Conference of WMO. Therefore, it's also great to have a couple of participants from the WMO network participating in this event today and the next days. So, this is the official opening of the African Hydrological Conference as part of Cairo Water Week and Africa Water Week. Second, the subtitle of this session, the organizers gave the subtitle Actions for Water and Climate Adaptation and Resilience. And this is absolutely critical. If you participated in this event over the last days, you heard different numbers related to the tremendous investments that need to happen to be able to cope with the impacts for climate change, particularly in Africa, to adapt to changes that are rapidly emerging. You find different numbers, but it's certainly in the numbers of billions. We have a colleague from a major investor, the Green Climate Fund, in a minute speaking about that. But billions in many countries per year. And so if you add that up to the whole world, we probably enter in the investment needs in the order of trillions, depending on which time horizon you look at, 2030 or 2040. And so while I cannot give you the exact number of investments needed, it is important to understand that major investments are necessary to avoid further decrease of GDP, particularly in the developing world. On the other hand, these investments can have a significant return on the investments. Let me mention three main processes that are vehicles to drive this change. One is, particularly here in the African continent, the AWARE initiative, which is an initiative that was launched at the COP29, and it facilitates water action for climate change adaptation or climate action in general and resilience building. If you look at the 6 different work streams, they all are critical to exactly achieve what I said before, avoid further decrease of GDP, but facilitate sustainable growth. One of the work streams relates to early warning systems for floods and droughts. And this is very much linked to the global initiative on early warning for all. This is a challenge the UN Secretary General gave all of us, that by 2027, everyone around the world should be covered by early warning systems. Floods and droughts is the main focus for this hydrological conference here, but is very much seen in a multi-hazard early warning system context. And the third, what I wanted to mention, is achieving the SDGs. Particularly in SDG, we are lagging behind. We are partly off track. It's not going in the right direction. We are not running with the necessary speed to really achieve this important goal by 2030. So therefore, it's really time to accelerate. And that's also the main reason for the 2026 UN Water Conference, help accelerating action to achieve this important SDG. Colleagues, what is the basis for all of that? Is it the AWARE initiative? Is it achieving SDG 6? Or is it early warning for all? As a biased hydrologist, I would like to say the basis for that is really hydrology. The basis is to better understand hydrological processes, to be able to make better predictions on the hydrological system and all what comes with it, in better monitoring, better data sharing, better model developments, integrating that across sectors, etc. Therefore, we have an exciting session this morning, and I was asked to moderate the opening segment of this session. The first speaker His Excellency Professor Hani Svilan. Doesn't need much introduction. He's very well known in our community, but if I may, Professor Svilan is the Egyptian Minister for Water Resources and Irrigation. Beside that, he's a Professor for Hydrology and Water Resources Management. He has been the Managing Director of the UNESCO Chair of Hydrological Change and Water Resource Management at the Technical University in Aachen. He's a professor at the American University of Cairo. and he has been decorated with quite a number of awards and prestigious recognitions. He's an excellent teacher, as you might see in a minute when he gives his opening remarks, and he is also the chair of AMCAO and a highly influential water politicians, if I may say so. Professor Svilan, over to you for the opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my friend, for the nice introduction and also for organizing and coordinating this very important session. I would like to welcome all the participants in this gathering and stress also on the action for water adaptation and resilience, which is very similar to the title of the AWARE initiative that my friend Ulmbrook just mentioned. In the COP27, we, together with the international water community, we recognized the importance of taking actions on the ground in the area of water. Before the COP27 and the previous 26 COPs, water was not at the heart of climate action. Water was not, in some cases, even a topic to be discussed when we deal with climate. Even in Paris Agreement, water was not an important topic in the Paris Agreement. And this was really irritating us as a water community. I'm not speaking about Egypt only, I'm speaking about all the water community at the global level. So we had to move. We had to move to raise the awareness at the global level. I'm speaking here even about the decision makers, the awareness of politicians, the awareness of political leaders, is to understand that the water sector is the most impacted sector from the climate change. Because if we keep talking about CO2 emission, if we keep talking about the energy, yes, they are very important. But what about the impact of climate change on the water sector, especially in Africa? What about the hydrological changes? How we are going to deal with them? We need early warning systems to deal with such hydrological changes. We, as a country and the Ministry of Water Resources, we definitely collaborate with our brothers and sisters in the Nile Basin, especially in the topic of early warning systems. We have established an early warning station in the Congo DRC. We have established an early warning system in South Sudan. And since we did that, they are really very grateful for us. We even trained their engineers on how to use them, how to forecast, how to give warning to the local communities to move to which direction when they have heavy rain. So all of that, we need to collaborate to adapt to climate change, and early warning systems, of course, at the heart of adaptation to climate change. Of course, I was supportive to the idea of the organization of Africa Hydrological Conference and having a technical session, and this plenary led by WMO within the Cairo Water Week and the Africa Water Week in order to build the momentum needed for better integrating all aspects of hydrology. I also advocate the call for AMCAO and WMO to further enhance collaboration, plan meetings between hydrological advisors, and also the tax. We should also come together to work on adaptation and studying and understanding more about the hydrological changes. And we need to increase funding for national hydrological services by government for sustainability of services and valuing water. We have increased our budget in Egypt that's allocated for water management and investment in relation to hydrology. We also focus on building the capacity, especially that the global initiative AWARE that was launched during the COP27 has a cross-cutting activity for building the capacity of the African continent. We, as an Egyptian government, we devoted our training center in the 6th of October city, which is a huge center with all the needed facilities for training, from computer labs to physical water modeling labs to open labs, hotel, swimming pool, all sport facilities needed to host our African and developing countries trainees to be trained here in Egypt on different hydrological related topics or water related aspects, but also early warning systems, and introducing them to the concept of early warning and enhancing the resilience of their communities, either in Africa or in any other country. And under also the AWARE initiative, in which now 30 different countries joined officially, and we have the 4 very important UN agencies, the WMO, the FAO, the UNDP, and the UNESCO are working with us and committed to coordinate different pillars. We have ensured funding to train 3,000 African professionals in the water sector over the coming 3 years. We already started, so it's not about plans only and talks. We already started and completed the training of 200 professionals, and I can see them around, some of them around here in the Cairo Water Week and the Africa Water Week attending. So capacity building is one of the vital issues that we should invest more in, building the capacity of our African professional. I also welcome the PR of Egypt, my friend and my colleague, General Hisham Tahoun. He will be addressing you about the complementarity between meteorology and hydrology services here in Egypt, and how we reach common ground for data sharing and actions towards building resilience. Because I honestly believe that we have a good practice in Egypt, the meteorology and the hydrology working hand in hand, sharing data, collaborating together, and we always have regular meetings between his entity and our entity in order to share, because meteorology and hydrology, they have to go hand in hand and cooperate always together. I encourage fellow water ministers, my colleagues and friends, to designate active hydrological advisors within their countries to WMO at level of director, head of hydrological services, to help in increasing interaction with WMO and the implementation of different programs. I think collaboration with the WMO is very important, and I have to say the WMO is co-founder of the AWARE initiative, and they are working with us, and we appreciate very much they are hosting the coordination hub of the AWARE initiative in their facilities in Geneva. So they are really always working with us very close, and we appreciate and thank them very much, and invite all of you to support the idea of adaptation to climate change and enhancing the resilience of our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Minister Svilan. The next speaker is also a real pleasure to introduce. It's Honorable Minister Karl Schlettwein. He's currently the Minister of Namibia for Agriculture, Water and Land Reform. In hydrology, we often speak about the importance of the nexus, by being able to integrate across different sectors, by being able to integrate also and have a productive dialogue with other ministries, including the Ministry of Finance, for the obvious reasons. And His Excellency Minister Schlettwein, he's Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform and a Member of Parliament since a number of years, but he also served at quite a number of other posts, including Deputy Minister of Finance, Minister of Trade and Industry, Minister of Finance, and Permanent Secretary at various ministries in Namibia. So in his person, he brings together so many sectors and so much expertise already, so which is really probably a unique feature, probably really unique. Therefore, it's a really distinct pleasure having him here as an opening speaker today. Furthermore, Minister Schlettwein is serving on a number of boards as a member or as a chairman, and just to mention a few, including the Namibian Black Empowerment Committee, the National Council for Higher Education, Diamond Board of Namibia, Namibia Development Corporation Board of Directors, as well as the Board of Directors of the Bank of Namibia. With this, over to you, Your Excellency, Minister Schlettwein.
Thank you very much for this for the kind introduction. I'm happy to be with you and share this important forum. As you have heard, I am one of you. I'm also a hydrologist by profession. So I do believe that it is good that decision makers are in the field that know what hydrology is about, namely a very hard science. I'm therefore honored to address you here today during this important event. As we gather here, let me take this opportunity to briefly take you back and look at the journey that we have collectively undertaken to initiate and eventually establish this important Africa Hydrological Conference. So, moderator, it was in April 2023 when the World Meteorological Organization conducted its second hydrological and water coordination panel meeting for the Africa region in Namibia, where the concept of an African hydrological conference was introduced. The need for it was introduced at that meteorological meeting, and I'm very happy that it is coming about in a period of only 1 year. This week marks, therefore, the inception of this Africa Hydrological Conference, a significant stride towards addressing the continent's water challenges. The conference, as part of the Africa Water Week 2024, is providing a collaborative platform for sharing knowledge and innovative solutions. It aims to leverage hydrological data and enhance socio-economic development, climate resilience, and disaster risk reduction across Africa, aligning with the broader goals of our Agenda 2063 and the Africa Water Vision of 2025. We are at the moment in an advanced process to review this 2025 vision, and we will launch the next vision that will stretch for another 25 years. We are talking about this important week in Cairo about water for sustainable development, for peaceful sharing of this critical resource, for mitigation to severe impact from climate, and having, as we already see, for a few years, more frequent, more intense, and more severe floods and droughts. Now, this is where it becomes important. Policy makers such as me and my colleagues have to take decisions on building new water infrastructure, such as dams, desalination plants, canals, new irrigation schemes, reclamation schemes, and we must think about protecting our population against nature and human-induced natural disasters, such as severe floods, crippling droughts. Namibia last year had the lowest runoff in the past 100 years. So we are not only talking about it, we are experiencing it. Now, the assessment of the sustainability and the positive impacts of investments we are planning all have an impact on what hydrologists must do. They must find sources, they must manage resources, and they must manage both the up and the downstream effects of that source. We must find it, we must forecast it, we must harvest it, but then we must also protect it so that we do not overexploit it, that we don't pollute it, that we don't waste it. So there is an important aspect in hydrology for both down and upstream of resource management. It is therefore key to address the scientific questions through an African Hydrological Conference within this important Cairo Week and the African Water Week. It helps to create a sound dialogue between decision makers and scientists between water managers and hydrologists. But what I want to bring across, we can dialogue about all these things, but we cannot vote on whether it will be a good rainy season or not. We cannot vote on whether the resource is 1 million cubic meter or only a half. That is scientific facts. And what we can dialogue about is maybe the resource allocation in terms of money to the resource, the direction of research. That is what we can do, but we cannot move away from the facts. And I believe the moving away from scientific facts is one of the big problems we have. We see gross over-exploitation of resources, which we do knowingly, only because it is politically convenient not to cut. We pollute knowingly, because it is maybe cheaper than doing it properly. But it is always for convenience sake and for the detriment of the source. So I believe this conference is crucial to bring about the absolute necessity to respect and act on a sound scientific knowledge and basis that we have. I also believe, therefore, that data management, data availability is so important. And I know, like all of you, that Africa is not very strong in having databases, manage them, update them, and use them. I don't believe it is necessary for every country to have a complete African database. We can join forces. We have WASMO in AMCO, which is a database that can be supported and should be supported. And it must, and of course, must be made easy to access, easy to share data and avail it to everyone. I'm therefore very happy to inaugurate this first African Hydrological Conference. And from a personal point of view, I can share with you that it will be my last. I am at the part of my life that I will not take the decisions anymore, but I live of the results of the decisions that we together took. And I hope that this conference will form a basis that makes the future for our children, for our next generations, a better one instead as a worse one. So hydrology is a good place to be in. It's a good profession to be in right now. In the past, we've just built a dam according to data for runoff and demand. I think we cannot do that anymore. The water cycle has changed. We have to redesign how we build dams, how we build abstraction methods from groundwater aquifers. Groundwater has been important, but we don't know what is happening downstream. We have little knowledge. So we must improve our knowledge about aquifers, about impacts of abstraction, about recharge. The whole water cycle is changing, and I think that is the point. We are not there where we were. It's a new ball game, and that is what makes it so exciting to be a hydrologist at the moment. We must quickly learn what are these changes. We know what the causes are, but how do these changes impact on our ability to utilize this very important commodity, water? I do wish AMCO and the World Meteorological Organization will formalize a partnership for supporting the water community in Africa, as the needs are huge. All partners, whether they're economical, scientific, multilateral agencies like the UN, the private sector, will be welcome to this endeavor, as all forces are needed to tackle the water challenge today and tomorrow. My last comment is, yes, it is a scientific problem that we have to solve, hydrology. But we also need money to do that. Science needs equipment, science needs capacity building, science needs decimation databases, and all that needs some money. As I said so often, it is well-spent money. But to burden the hydrological society, the academic society, the scientific society, with extra costs of borrowing, extra financing costs of borrowing, would be unwise. We can do less research if we have to pay interest. So I believe hydrology and the study of the water cycle, the freshwater cycle, is probably one of the best candidates to attract grant money so that we can do our job well. And I believe we have the ability to be convincing, and convincing people like me, like politicians, that spending in hydrology scientific work is not a matter of choice anymore. We have to do it. Otherwise, we will not manage our valuable resource. So thank you very much for my chance here, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Minister Schlettwein. Colleagues, I always find it very inspiring knowing that a hydrologist has held all these senior positions in government, including Minister of Finance. And thank you very much for sharing your thoughts today. And I hope it's also encouraging for some of the younger generation in the room. Maybe the lady next to you, maybe she also, as a hydrologist, will become an important person in government of her country or beyond. And there's other in the audience. So we hope to follow your tracks, Minister Schlettwein. The third speaker of this opening remarks is Major General Aviator Hesham Hassam Taoum. General Hassam Taoum is the chairman of the board of directors of the Egyptian Meteorological Authority, EMA. He's also the permanent representative to the World Meteorological Organization of WMO, so to me, and he serves in his personal capacity as a member of the Executive Council of WMO. For me, as a director at WMO, to some extent, he's my boss. So I'm, of course, be very careful here. And now, Hesham has a number of distinct achievements. After graduating from the Air Force College, he also has a degree in Management of Information Systems, a master's degree in Business and Administration, International Transport, and he has been Logistics Director. With this short introduction, I hand over to Major General Hesham, and looking forward to your opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, my dear Stephen. Good morning, everybody. First of all, let me express my great appreciation and thankful for Professor Dr. Hani Swelem, Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, for this invitation for this very important event. I will talking about the meteorology and hydrology for the cooperation. What is this important for cooperation between two sectors, especially with the climate change, what we mentioned, Professor Hani, and what we are already seeing in the world, all over the world, that we so many events. It's not usual, not normal for us. Here in Egypt, we start with our friends and our colleague in the Ministry of Water Resources to start to cooperate together, not to each one working separately and doing maybe the same job, because it's finally supposed to work together, hand to hand, and to be cooperative, not to be a competition. We sit together and we discuss about all the activities that we supposed to do and our colleague in water resources supposed to do, and finally we finalize, okay, each part have this issue, this responsibility, and once we have something overlap or something we can joined together in this activity. We sat together and we finally issued something combining between us and them. And this is just to give information or the warning to the government or for the other sector in the government to do their action. This is come from data sharing between us and between our colleague in Ministry of Water Resources. This is also for the capacity building and the training. And by the way, now we have a training for early warning for flood already exists in our RTC, Regional Training Center here in Cairo. And we have, I think, all the group here and the chief of this group. So this is the cooperation between the WMO and the water or the hydrology, finally to achieve the initiative which is already launched in COP27, early warning for all. Because finally, from my opinion, we talking about the people life. We talking about the people properties. So it's a very important issues that must. It's not an optional. From my opinion, also I see this is must for all sector to cooperate together to save lives, to save properties, to give the warning early as we can do, just to give the opportunity to other sectors to do their job. Also for the forecasting, maybe sometimes as this is exist in many of the countries all over the world, there's sometimes a conflict between hydrology and meteorology, especially for the rain or for heavy rain or flood or flash flood. This is, I think, we finally here in Egypt, we got a good result that we sit together, collaborate together, and finally we issued just a warning to all the sectors that concerning for this warning and to give them a chance to do their job as early as we can and correctly and to continue to monitor the situation until it's finished. And I think one of the cooperation also issues and very important, the AWARE initiative, which it launched in COP27, and we have one of our colleagues from Water Resources. I think the WMO host him in the facility in Geneva, and we always in contact with him just to arrange anything missing, anything needed, anything we can cooperate together. This is, I think, the most important point that we emphasize, the cooperation between meteorology and hydrology. It's very important, especially with the climate change, especially with the extreme weather event that we faced during the last years, as most of us can show on the TV or in their country. And finally, just to give a time for other colleagues for their words. Thank you, and I hope we can continue on this conference for finally to get good result and good recommendation. Thank you, Steve. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Major General Hesham, for the nice opening remarks. And I think, colleagues, what he stressed is really the importance of collaboration between hydrology and meteorology. And it was interesting to see that also Mr. Svelan made the same point and really stressed the importance of collaboration. It's not a single sector can achieve early warning for all or support better water resources management. It needs a number of sectors, but absolutely critical is the cooperation between the meteorology as well as hydrology. In that respect, allow me one remark. You know, at the moment we are carrying out a training here in Egypt, and it's a 2 weeks training. The first week was hosted by the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation and Water Resources, led by Minister Svelan. And in the second week, at the moment, it's going on at the training, and it's actually hosted by EMA, the authority that is led by Major General Hesham. And it shows that the 2 weeks having at two different locations is not only symbolic, it's also by connecting to the right knowledge fields by correcting the right data and infrastructure, bringing that together to provide better early warning systems, better management of water resources. So a big thank you for that, and I had the chance yesterday afternoon to visit his facility, which is really very nice. And last point, in the audience you see some of the colleagues who are actually participating in this training. They join us here today, and they will also later offer some reflections from the next generation of hydrologists, soon become ministers, I hope. And also very warm welcome to the trainees and their trainers who all made it here this morning. This was the end of the opening blocks. Please, Excellencies, if your time allows, please remain, join the discussion as much as your time allows. So we love to have you on stage and interacting with us. But I would now like to invite the moderator of the main part, and it's a pleasure to introduce Dr. Faith Sternlieb. Faith is the Associate Director for Global Engagement for the Internet, not the Internet of Things, the Internet of Water initiative at the Lincoln Institute for Land Policy Center and Geospatial Solutions. She has been working in a number of fields in Africa to strengthen the adaptation to climate change in urban settings as well as in larger parts of Africa. She actually comes from a degree in anthropology and Latin American languages at the University of Maryland, has a master's degree of the US Peace Corps, and a PhD degree in earth sciences and with a specialization in watershed hydrology of Colorado State. Faith, over to you. We are in your safe hands for the rest of this event. Thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to moderate this esteemed panel, which presents an opportunity for dialogue between hydrological experts and decision makers to find better approaches to improve the services of the National Hydrological and Meteorological Services for each of your countries for early warning systems for all. I would like to invite another panelist, I believe, who is not up here. Luis, would you like to join us? Wonderful. So we have a number of speakers, and what I would like to do is help you, help me, help the audience. What we're going to do is I'm going to introduce each speaker as one at a time, and they will speak, and then I will introduce the second speaker, and so on and so forth. We have given you guidelines in terms of your timing, but what we would like to do, since we started late, is to please keep your comments to 5 minutes each. We would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. So first, I would like to introduce, Dr. Amgad El-Mari, Regional Manager for MENA at the Green Climate Fund, GCF, brings over 25 years of hydrology expertise across operational research and academic sectors. Previously at GCF's Global Water Sector Lead for the last 2 years, he crafted the water investment strategy. Before joining GCF, Dr. El-Mari directed R4D business portfolios for MENA at the International Water Management Institute at ILMI. And he has a further esteemed resume, which I will leave to you to continue to introduce yourself. Excellent.
Sabah al-khair, good morning, everyone. So, we only have 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So, as the time being cut from 15 to 5, so I will just focus on the main slides. But I think I'm very glad to be trained as hydrologist and moving into climate finance, because as water people, I think we really need to have our voice here within the climate finance. And I was glad to, when I joined GCF, to really start thinking about where is our water strategy as a green climate fund. And at that time, we didn't have a strategy. So I was honored to lead that strategy and put that strategy coming from a hydrologist to really help the water sector and water community to understand climate finance and to access climate finance. So in a nutshell, Green Climate Fund is really the largest multilateral fund that's been established under UNFCCC to really serve the Paris Agreement. So we are really the financial arm of the Paris Agreement, working on reducing emissions and improving resilience. So to cut the story quickly, so where GCF stands in terms of all other funds and what capacity we have. So if we look at that figure that really compare the level of risk we can take as a fund and also the ticket size or the scale of the fund that we can actually provide. So our capacity really positioning us in a way we can really mobilize private sector, can really develop the market and accelerate the climate action ambitions, taking high risk and also providing high fund or high ticket size. But let me jump quickly to what other source of fund or how we can access that fund. So as we are a climate fund, so we are really not a development fund, we are not really a bank. So we're really looking for the impact. And as a climate fund, you really need to bring to us your climate story or your climate rationale. And that's the way we really need to shift from our normal writing proposal for like a research or the way we do a development proposal. We really need to bring climate up front. What are the climate hazards I have faced? What that historical trend? How that historical trend impacting the water sector? What is the prediction of that climate hazard and how that will impact the water sector in future as water availability and so on. Once you give me that story, I will look and assess the proposal against 6 investment criteria. Impact, in terms of if the project really focus on mitigation aspect, how many tons of CO2 that will be reduced. If it's adaptation, we're looking at the scale of resilience and number of beneficiaries, or it could be a cross-cutting. We're also looking at the second criteria, the paradigm shift, and that's one of the key criteria for green climate shift. How we can actually do that paradigm shifting in the way we normally do our project, how we ensure the project are really sustainable and maintained and operational without any impact on like water tariff, for example. So how we ensure the project bring new technology, new solution, have the opportunity to be scaled, have the opportunity to be replicated. When we talk about the third criteria, sustainable development, and this is where we look at all the co-benefits, economic, social, environment. So again, we really need, as a water people, we really need to have a narrative and open the door to talk to all other sectors to be able really to increase the value of water and come with the right economic value for the water. And then the recipient's need, which is really like the scale of vulnerability for the country that we are supporting. Country ownership, how that project really align with the country plan, country policy, water sector plan in that country or water strategy in that country. And then efficiency and effectiveness that really come to like the cost benefit analysis. But because we are not a bank, we're really looking for cost benefit analysis from impact perspective. How much it will cost me per ton of CO2 that will be reduced, for example. So what the source of fund or what modalities of fund? So that slide summarizes everything, but I will try to simplify it here. So we have 2 main windows of support. One directly to the country, we call it like country program support, and that comes as 10 million. So that's the clear envelope for each country. That 10 million coming into 2 tranches, 6 million for NAP, National Adaptation Plan, and 4 million for readiness. The 6 million for NAP go into 2 tranches. First 3 million to develop or formulate your National Adaptation Plan as a country, which Egypt currently do with UNDP, and then the second 3 million they can access to take that National Adaptation Plan into an implementation plan. The other 4 million from the 10, it actually goes for capacity building, programming, and also knowledge management to support countries to stand on its feet and start really put the strategy, put the plan for climate, what type of project, what type of priorities, and how they can actually mobilize all donors, and that's our role really to support that to happen. When it comes to the project cycle, so as a project, we don't really have a cap on the scale of the project, but we have a minimum, and our minimum is really 10 million. So any project below 10 million, it's not qualified to come to GCF. But what we're really looking for is like the project that can bring a concept note to us. And once you have that concept note approved by GCF, you can actually require or asking for 1.5 million to develop that concept note to fund the proposal. That's very unique again for GCF, and that's the approach that fund is doing to really empower the community, empower the countries to bring their project to the stage that can be really approved. And then you can use that 1.5 to bring in all like the feasibility study that's required, the engineering design, the environmental assessment, whatever require you to complete your project. And we will work with you on that as well to ensure really two main aspects, bankability and affordability. And bankability here is to ensure the project is well designed to attract investment, and that investment could be 100% from GCF, or it could be, again, money from GCF but mobilize other money from other resources as well. Affordability means we need to maintain water as a public good. So whatever the financial structure of that model, it shouldn't really impact the water tariff. So people should have access to water for whatever interventions or solutions that actually provide it. As GCF also, we work across all financial instruments. And that also gives us the capacity to work to design the right financial model with you, like grants, concessional loan, equity, guarantees, bonds. And before I finish, I will just give you what concessional loans means here and how we blend it as a finance to provide more money into the water sector. Concessional loans here for us, when a public entity borrow that money from us as part of the project, they get this money for 0.25%. 0.25%, and up to 40 years to pay back that loan, and also with 10 years as a grace period. So imagine you're doing a wastewater treatment plant. You need probably 2 to 3 years to do that construction phase and to bring the plant into operational, to bring the machines, the technologies, and so on. So you will have at least 5 years as a grace period to make this happen, and then you start to operate. If it's a private entity that really come as a project delivery partner and access that concessional loans, they get the loan for 0.75%, less than 1%, 0.75%. And they have up to 20 years to pay back again that loan, and also up to 5 years as a grace period. That's really concessional. If we are just GCF, provide that loan as a part of the project. So it could be part grant, part loans. But also we use our capacity to leverage that because, again, how much money do we have? So we have 4-year cycle from 24 to 27, and all the countries that pledge to us, we only have 13 billion. Of course, it's not enough. So we used our capacity to leverage that. So far we have 15 billion projects that have been allocated by GCF for a total value of project of 52 billion. So we blend our concessional finance with other donors to bring the market rate by 4%. So I encourage you to reach out. We are the focal point here for the MENA region, and I will be happy to guide you on that process. Everything also available on our website. There is a guideline how you develop your water project to bring it to GCF. And also we have the water strategy that really communicate very clearly what type of project you can really bring to GCF. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Almadi. So important to understand how projects can be funded, will be funded, how to set the projects up for success. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of questions afterwards. So on to our next speaker, Louise Hegart. Miss Louise Hegart has about 20 years of fundraising and resource mobilization experience from international policy institutes, NGOs, and private foundations, including 14 years related to water, through the Stockholm International Water Institute, the International Food Policy Research Institute, and where she currently is now at DHI. She also has experience in the public and private sectors. Since June 2022, she is responsible for strategic partnerships and funding mobilization at DHI's International Development Department with focus on co-creating sustainable programs and projects together with financiers and key clients and stakeholders in low and lower middle income countries. Luis?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to speak at this very important session. I will be talking about PPPPs. So public-private people partnership. And please go to the first slide. I have very few messages to you. I will focus on the people part. Thank you. And what makes us move, what's the thing that makes a difference is the trust that we build with each other. The trust is not only data, it's a lot of communication, it's a lot of empathy, it's a lot of authenticity. These are conferences like this where we really get to speak together and align what we want to do. And what we want to do, we want to have big ambitions for our planet and for our people and the consequences of the climate change. And of course, at the end, the money question is always there. And as you just heard from the Green Climate Fund, money is a complicated matter. It takes a lot of time. It takes demanding. It takes convincing, as the minister, Honorable Minister from Namibia just said, convincing the financiers and partners in this. I'll give you just 2 examples of public-private partnerships and people partnerships from DHI side. And the first one, the first one is the global hydrological model. The DHI global hydrological model, there are lots of global modeling. This one was created, I'll get back to the actors behind it, but it's being used with the Senegal, our partners in OMVS, to both, first of all, to look at the discharges, to have the forecasting for what's happening. What's very important also for Senegal is to have the forecasting to find out how should the Gobasi Dam, how should it be regulated for all 4 countries. And this model was validated by all 4 countries of the OMVS. And who is then these public-private people, partners behind it? From the public side, it's the Danish Ministry of Higher Education and Science, had a huge contribution to this. The Innovation Fund of Denmark, as well as the Danida Fellowship, which is handled by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark. It was about totally $3 million, quite small, actually. From DHI side, we are allowed to get public funding because we are one of 7 research and technology organizations in Denmark and has this special status. So that helped enormously to get this work on the going, and we're also a consultant company. And for the research part, there was a big article on this global hydrological model published in May in the Journal of Hydrology. Also, I believe that WMO is using it together with a lot of other models in the Hydro SOS. Another very quick example is the Global Wetland Center, which was launched last year thanks to private funding from a private sector company, the Novo Nordisk Foundation, and together with Copenhagen University and the Geological Service of Greenland and Denmark. And that was a $9 million grant from the Novo Nordisk Foundation. So my very last message to you is these are just examples of small public-private partnerships. I'm totally convinced that we can convince and together make much bigger and more powerful and more impact-lasting efforts together. And the Honorable Minister also mentioned the VASMO platform, which is the water and sanitation reporting and monitoring platform of AMCAO, which DHI helped to produce, and that AMCAO is handling and is now upgrading with the API scorecards for the Africa water investment plans. So I think, please come and see me. I work with this. I want to work with you to do big things together. And thank you so much again for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Louise. So as you can see, our panelists, they have a wealth of information, of knowledge, and even resources. So we really hope that you all will approach them afterwards and talk to them, since our time here is so short. Our next speaker, I'm pleased to present Dr. Dominique Béraud. He is the head of Earth System Monitoring Division at the World Meteorological Organization. Dr. Béraud is responsible for WMO activities on monitoring and information systems on water, cryosphere, and ocean. Before joining WMO in June 2016, he was the senior expert for the water, cold regions, and disasters activities at the Intergovernmental Group on Earth Observations Secretariat. He has also a very long resume that I will let him elaborate on if you so desire, but we welcome you. Thank you so much, Dr. Béraud.
Okay, thank you very much, Faith, and thank you all for being here. I have the challenge of presenting two of the highest flagship we have at WMO in 7 minutes. The one being the Early Warning for All initiative, and the second one being the hydrological status and outlook system. How do I move on? That way. So first, on that early warning system for all, it has been launched by the UN Secretary General, Mr. Gutierrez, for addressing this huge issue of making sure that population is safe in case of natural hazard. The challenge was to have a solution in developing early warning for all, the whole population, within 5 years, and we started this in 2022. So meaning we are now a little bit far away. We have 2 years to go. We started. I mean, we're not starting from nothing, but there is a huge challenge where we need all forces from the countries, from UN organizations, from private partners to move on. We have a core partnership led by WMO with the support of the UN Disaster Risk Reduction Agency. And without going into detail, there are 4 major pillars, and the one being on the knowledge of what's happening, and one being where WMO is the core developer on observing system, on forecast systems, and then one on communicating, making sure that all the information that is produced is moving towards the right authorities, and then the last pillar is on making sure that the population, people, do have the information and then can act accordingly. So the major supporters and contributors are the WMO, the UNDRR, the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, and the International Federation of the Red Cross. And of course, there are many others that are playing, supporting, and as I said, including for the private sector, and especially for that pillar on, say, hydrology, observing and forecast system. We have the direct support from, for instance, from UNESCO, from the United Nations Development Program, and the United Nations Environment Program. And we made a survey a couple of years ago to detect from the countries, from the regions, what are the major challenges you are facing. and you have a whole series of possibilities, and the three majors are on hydrology. It's about flood, it's about flash floods, it's about drought, it's about river floods. So it's all about hydrology. We're not forgetting all the others, like heat wave, storm surges, and many others, but the key are to develop solutions in terms of observing systems and in terms of forecast systems for hydrology. And there is a decision from the UN to support an initial 30 countries. And some of them are obviously in Africa as well, so in all regions of the world. For Africa, you have a first support for Djibouti, Somalia, Sudan, Chad, Comoros, Ethiopia, Liberia, Madagascar, Mauritius, Mozambique, Niger, South Sudan, Uganda. Most of you are here. There are many other countries here as well, so we need that support to join forces to address all those challenges. And the role of WMO is to do what we are good at, being to set the standards, the tools, the operational side, the technical solutions for providing all those observing systems and forecast systems. I will not go into all the detail, but we are securing the whole value chain from decision to observation, from observations to decision, and in between you have forecast system, you have guidance on how to detect flash floods, how to set up forecast systems, how to use observing system, how to collect data, how to share those. And on the right hand, you see the hydrological monitoring side with some of the major activities we have, such as the WACOS. It's a program of WMO for data collection system. And the Hydro Hub being the new generation to build the innovative approach for data collection. And then you have the whole world of sharing data, making data accessible to decision makers, to the population, to make sure the right decisions are taken. And the last one is what I'd like to focus in a few minutes here, is this Hydro SOS being the way of transforming data into the information as a support for decision. So Hydro SOS, the hydrological status and outlook system, is a WMO being thought as WMO community. Is developed by members, capital M being the countries, and it's for the members. It's not an invention from some people in the Secretariat. It's a need that has been expressed by members, and the Congress decided to support that through that Hydro SOS. It's about leveraging all what we have and to detect what we have to do to improve the system. And the status component is to gather all the existing data, all the existing information, and to transform those into something that we can use as a support for the right decision now, what's happening now. And the role of WMO is to make sure that we can compare those data that are coming from multiple sources and to combine those into indicators, into a way of showing what's the difference between the current situation and say, kind of normal situations, to see if there's something to be done in terms of a flood somewhere, a drought somewhere. It's important to say that, yes, it's for members, but we have to know what's happening in the surrounding area, in the whole region, in the whole basin, if not in the whole globe, to really understand what's happening there. And the outlook side is on using all the global model. We see the case from DHI, which is a great support. We have as well support from Sweden, from Japan, from the US, from UK, and many others, to use a sub-seasonal scale of detecting what could happen in terms of flood and drought in the next future. I see Faith here. Welcome. So we can give you the internet site of what we have, the global Hydro SOS. You can see what we try to do to show the information in a standard way so that we can easily compare things and that we can be interoperable. And we have some projects in all the world, including in Africa. And there will be a talk later on the Lake Victoria, which is one of the best examples we have. We are working as well with Ghana, Nigeria, and working through other projects like the Lake Chad Basin warning system to develop that Hydro SOS. In conclusion, You have seen early warning for all, huge ambition. We have to be together to deliver what we need, to have the achievements, to make all the efforts so that people can be informed of what's happening. WMO is contributing as a technical UN agencies with all our standards, with our tools, with our practical projects, with many partners, of course. And HydroSOS is the tool that we can use to get the bigger picture and then to use that into the national efforts for getting to better information to the population. Thank you very much.
Usually my panelists are much more compliant and cooperative. Thank you so much, Dr. Barreau. Our next speaker is Engineer Ogama Mangasa. He is a senior hydrologist currently serving as acting Central Catchment Water Officer in Lake Victoria Basin Water Board at the Ministry of Water in the Republic of Tanzania. Ogama has a Bachelor's of Science in Civil and Water Resources Engineering from University of Dar es Salaam and is currently pursuing a Master's in Governance and Leadership from Open University of Tanzania. We welcome you, Engineer Magasa.
Okay, thank you, Madam. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to apologize. I'm so late. I didn't come at the right time, but I think that now I'm together with you here. Typically, I want now to share with you the case study which have been done. Madam, sorry? I want to move on. Yes, we as a team of HydroSOS project under support of WMO, we have been supported to make sure that we are gathering information which will help us to produce the hydro products. And purposely, the purpose of this project is just to support sustainable water development in the Nile Basin countries, and also to come with some information which can tell us about the climate change adaptation as well, and also to make sure that those information will help us to produce the natural product and even in the Nile Basin countries as well. I want to support. Okay. I want to move on. How can I move on? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Because this project was done within 4 countries, but the case study which I'm going to raise in front of you is that on the study which is done in the Tanzania, part of the Nile Basin country. And as I said that the main purpose of having this project is just to get information which will enable us to produce some hydrology product. And one of the some areas, the study areas, based on this case study, we take the 2 catchments within the countries which involve more than 1 countries. One of the catchments was Kagera catchments, and another one was Mara catchment. And within those catchments, we selected the key sessions which we are work with, so that we come with some information. And the methodology which we adopted to use, actually, as you can see, during the data collection, we used to to collect data by measuring the discharge data using some equipments like a Q-liner and some tools. And eventually then we come to produce the rating curve, which those rating curve help us now to produce the time series formations. As you can see, those are some of the graphs which now help us to come with the rating curve, or which are right now, through that project, we have the rating curve in a place whereby we can now measure the only water level. So from that point, we can be in the position now to calculate to come with the flow data formation, as you can see. And about the data analysis, actually, before that, I think that when we were giving this project, we are directed by the WMO that there is rules and conditions whereby you can use to analyze those data. First of all, we are given some templates whereby you can use as a comment templates within those countries to make sure that you can reduce the double standard during the analysis part of it. And now you can see there the way we calculate those information information after having the water level. We calculate the flow data using that guidelines that were being provided. Then eventually we calculate the percentage average of the month according to the condition which were given. And eventually then we come to calculate the positions of the information which we get. Then eventually we come, at long last we come to sign the percentage categories of per catchments. So you can see the way that the last chart there, you can see how we were assigned the percentage category of the catchments. We had the high and normal and so forth, and even the low ranking of those positions. But this is according to support which was provided by the WMO. So this is now the status as per now, because we started to work with this project starting from the year 2022. Now you can see now the way you can see some of the months based on the catchment areas. You can see how we are trying now to assign the some months you can see the high, and the some of the months you can see the normal, and the some the below normal. This depends on the conditions of the rainfall. So at the country level, now you can see what now we have on the place through support of this project. Now we add some of the products, which I think that is better now to share with you, my dears. We are in a position now to have the monthly bulletin through this project, through those information which we gathered. And not only that, also we had now, we're producing some of the quarterly hydrological status based on the quarterly information which we need. And eventually we have the annual hydrological reports based on the data which we gathered from this project. So what we can say at the country level, as a lesson now, which I think that is now to share with you, what we learned, that water resources status, we are in the position now by using that, the techniques which we have been supported by WMO. Now we can, you can rank some of the water resources according to the condition which the condition have. And then, after ranking those conditions, because we are now allocating water for different water users, we are in the position now to make the decision to the water users at which month or from different water users. Now you can make decision who now to give what amount of water and why. So this is tools help us now to make the decision. And even the reporting approach. So we used to have some approaches, but this is now help us now to come with it. So the gaps now, as a part of the challenge, which I think that's better now to share with you, still capacity gap, capacity building still we need, because during the analysis we have few people who have a mandate to do, but some I think that still we need the capacity building part of it. So as a conclusion now, because of the time, I would like now to thank the hydro-source team. Not only that, even the Electoral Basin Water Board and the Minister of Water, and the special thanks to the WMO, because without them, we couldn't come with this now, the final products now we have in the country. So we would like to appreciate, and we thank you to the maximum. Please continue to support us so that we can update some information, but still we needed to gather more information. Having said all those, I would like to thank you, Madam, and audience, to your times. I think we start good, but I think that now we proceed good. Thank you so much for your time. God help you. Thank you very much.
All right, moving along. It looks like we will be going over a bit, and we appreciate your interest and your patience and flexibility. We would love to still give the rest of our speakers some time to speak, and hopefully they will be compliant and cooperative. Our next speaker is Dr. Stefan Dietrich, is the Deputy Director at the International Center for Water Resources and Global Change, a UNESCO center hosted by the German Federal Institute of Hydrology. He coordinates the international data activities there. He is a geoscientist specializing in climate observations with a focus on water data and hydrological data services. Again, a much longer resume than what we have time for here. And now, Dr. Stefan Dietrich. Thank you.
Yeah, many thanks, Faith, and thank you for the invitation to speak here, which is really an honor. And yeah, I will repeat a little bit what Ogoma has told, and will bring that on a more global perspective. What you see is the working some. So now I'm equipped. So I speak a little bit about global drought forecasting, and why is that? What are the main reasons? And one is what comes out of the WMO State of the Global Water Report, which was presented and published 2 weeks ago, I think right now, so fresh out of the press. And there are two remarkable, or yeah, here are 4 points, but two remarkable points. First, the first sentence is 2023 was globally the driest year which is in our observations, which we can find in our observations. Widespread dry conditions and elevated temperatures leads to increase in extremes, in hydrologic extremes, what we have all have seen. The report was really good in terms of that it's really benefited from another chance of data which came from you into this report, and so we have much more observations in that. We reduced our uncertainties in the global picture, but still there are significant gaps. And there are also some significant gaps, and that's what the talk is about, in the hydrological modeling system at all. So, what you see on this map, you don't have to read it all, but you see these white plots, no? And this white plots means there's no modeling at all. So here we have generated the wrong one, down. Here we have generated what we call the OUTLAST project, and OUTLAST is a global, multi-sectoral and an operational drought forecasting system for seasonal drought productions. So it's for multi-sectors, and that is new. So we really have to bring together not only working on river discharge, but to think about what is useful. No? And if you speak about water, of course, food security is one issue. So we have a global crop water model for agricultural, rain-fed agriculture and irrigated agricultural purposes, ecosystem, water supply, transport, and all other sectors. We go back to the last 12 months. We have near real-time information in that system, and we have a forecasting for the next 6 months. And what we do, we bring that into the WMO system of the HydroS. So what you already see here, that's a map already in the pilot of HydroSOS, which is implemented by our colleagues from UKCH, and that's already working with our first products. What we also have done, we have developed a new set of drought hazard indicators, not fitting to many multi-sectoral fields. And my last slide is, no, sorry. The reason now is why a global product maybe, and we developed that together with some partners, and Ogoma is one of our key partners, and some of the colleagues also here are invited and will join us in Koblenz in Germany in end of November to continue the discussions here. But what you see here is on the right-hand side, how we can what is the purpose, how to develop the system. And if we only want a parallel development, that is, I know you're coming nearer and nearer, that is not the way, but you can also use the global products and vice versa, the local products, to improve our system together. And I come to my last point. Just to close this and to close the circle, the hydrological data. For all these global products, for the national products, we need the data to be exchanged. And you see red dots on that map means the data delivery was back to the 1980s, so more than 40 years old. And if you're interested to share the data, please contact me after this conference. And with this, I will close. Thank you.
Excellent. Moving along. Thank you so much, Stefan. Our next speaker is Harriet Okal, is an associate scientist at the Stockholm Environmental Institute at the Africa Center. Harriet has over 7 years of experience and is a dynamic water scientist with a strong dedication to advancing sustainable water resource management. She's currently pursuing a PhD in hydrology at Rhodes University and is multi-talented with hydrologic skills in hydrologic modeling, remote sensing, GIS, especially in the domain of climate change. We welcome Harriet.
Okay, I'm waiting for my slides. Thank you so much, and greetings to you all. Good morning to you all. I'm still waiting for my slides to be projected, but before we start that, I'd like to thank WMO for involving the youth in their first hydrological conference. We don't take it for granted, and we hope we shall get more seats at the table in more of these hydrological conferences. Oh, there it is. So I'll talk about the role of the youth in enhancing hydrological services. And, okay. So my first slide is, why do we matter? Why do we matter in hydrological services? One, we are innovators. Well, most of us know most of the innovators come with old age and experience, but we come with fresh ideas. We come with new ideas and innovative solutions for hydrological challenges. Two, the digital space was created for us. We are born in the digital era. Most of us, our phones are our lives, and our laptops are our lives. And involving us in hydrological services is key because we are proficient in data-driven solutions and can help close the gap in hydrological services delivery. Our previous speaker, Mugama, talked about data gaps in using Python and R. Most of us, that is what we live for. I have a brother who is barely 21 years old and is very proficient in using Python. So maybe that is just what we need to ensure that we deliver these hydrological services. And we can contribute in many ways too. One, in capacity building, where youth-led initiatives such as training programs and data collections can strengthen the skills required to manage hydrological services. And of course, we all know if you want your national government to hear you, involve the youth. Have the youth with placards and they will hear you. If you want the international governments, the global community to listen to you, involve the youth. And because we are very vocal, and when it comes to advocacy and awareness, the youth have a stamp on their name. And social media, we live by social media. 60% of the African continent is basically youth, and we get instant messages using our social media platforms. Early warning systems can be strengthened using hashtags on Twitter. When it comes to droughts and floods, most of them, I don't hear them in the news. I get to know them mostly on trends, Twitter trends, and LinkedIn and TikTok. So let us leverage that to help us when it comes to early warning systems and raising awareness. And for early warning systems for all, this is a plea to you to include us in the data collection and sharing and also community engagement. So we are the people on the ground, we're the people who we do this work for, you do this work for, so engaging us will help you reach the local communities faster and build climate resilience strategies together. And a call to action is to invest in youth capacities and collaborate with different youth networks and support our innovation. Most of us lack fundings. We have bright ideas, our heads are boiling, but we don't have the funds. So we call to you to help us in making sure that we implement our innovative ideas. And lastly, I'll leave with this one quote: empowering us is not only an opportunity, but it's a necessity for a climate resilient future. And if you're wondering, if you don't know who to look for, these are some of the youth networks that are in the water space. I'm part of many of them: the World Youth Parliament for Water, the Water Youth Network, the EWA Young Professionals, WISA, Young Hydrological Societies, many of them. So this is a first step if you want to include the youth, because maybe we're just that missing puzzle to ensure that our national NDCs, global and continental strategies are implemented and we reach our targets. Thank you so much for your ears.
Thank you so much, Harriet. Our next speaker, before the last one, is Christabel Adel Hammond. She is an experienced hydrologist with the Ghana Hydrologic Authority, specializing in hydrologic data analysis and project management. She holds a Master's of Science in Management Information Systems and a Bachelor of Science in Mathematical Science. Thank you so much. Let's welcome Ms. Hammond. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure. Okay. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Okay, I think from the past speakers, they made mention of the need for an early warning system to support the UN Early Warning for All goal and the need for capacity building. And I'm glad to say that for the past week, we've been beneficiaries of this capacity building as organized by the World Meteorological Organization under the auspices of the EMA in collaboration with the Nile water sector. Okay, and the purpose was to focus on the hydrometry and assessment guidelines for the end-to-end flood forecasting and early warning system. Okay. Okay, so like I mentioned before, prevalent among all the African countries that met, we had the issues of funding, staffing, data collection, lack of a data management system, operation and maintenance of our equipment. So I guess it was in line with that this program was organized, this workshop, this training was organized for us, 15 participants from various African countries. Yeah, and we are all gathered here today, gladly. Yeah, the focus, as I mentioned earlier, was on hydrographic surveying, velocity and discharge measurements in rivers, and the assessment guidelines for end-to-end flood forecasting and early warning system. Okay. The week one basically was to give us a view of what the hydrological structures, hydraulic structures were, the hydrographic surveying and flow measurement tools. We had a field work sorry, yeah, I think these are pictures to just view. Yeah. And basically, the whole take home for these workshops was to basically put both hydrologists and meteorologists together and give us the theoretical knowledge and practical field experience on the key components of hydrological measurements and river management in line with the required WMO competency framework. Okay, then week 2 saw us having the introduction to the early warning system, where we were introduced to the assessment matrix, the SWOT analysis. Sorry. Okay, the problem-based learning, discussions on data management, hydrological models, and then dissemination strategies. And the key note for these presentations, this training, was basically to evaluate and enhance our flood forecasting systems to help the various institutions establish end-to-end early warning systems, strengthen our capacities, train and adapt a multi-layered approach, combining both the theoretical insights with hands-on applications through discussions, problem-solving sessions, and case studies. Okay, so this is a pictorial view of all the participants and the organizers. Yeah. Okay, so for our future actions and impact, we looked at the possibility of applying all the hydrological skills we gained to enhance flood control and water management, integration of the hydrology and climate resilience to achieve the SDG 6 goal, and then basically to promote partnership among the National Meteorological and Hydrological Services, WMO, and the regional institutions. Yeah, basically, we hope that at the end of the day, each country can proudly say that they've been able to achieve a hydrological value change that seeks to have a data collection and monitoring system, modeling, forecasting, warning dissemination, are able to have a decision support system, and then response to warnings. Yeah, call to action. I think our basic and our main aim at the end of the day is to encourage collaboration amongst the meteorologists and the hydrologists, collaboration among institutions from various countries, and to encourage our stakeholders and mainly our decision makers who are gathered here today to support hydrological services and enhance the end-to-end flood forecasting systems across Africa. Yeah, and I wouldn't leave here without acknowledging the support and saying a very big thank you to Emma for hosting us, for welcoming us, for supporting us in everything we've been able to do throughout this past few days. We'd like to say a very big thank you. We appreciate all the efforts. And we'd also like to say a big thank you to our facilitators, our participants from the various countries for your contributions. And to WMO, we say we are grateful for having us and making it possible for us to be here. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, we are coming to our last speaker, so we appreciate your patience. Our last speaker is Mr. Mohammed Husseini Ibrahim. He is the head of hydrology of the Directorate of Water Resources in the Ministry of Hydraulics, Sanitation and Environment in Niger. He is also currently serving as a WMO Regional Hydrological Advisor for Africa and chair of the Regional Association 1 Hydrology and Water Coordination Panel. We welcome you. Thank you so much, Mohammed.
Thank you so much.
And this works down.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, first, I want to thank you very much for joining us. This session shows us that it is very important to see how we can work, we could work together and advocate for better hydrological services. I want to thank all of you for sharing your experiences. It is a good opportunity for us to have this dialogue with experts and decision makers to find better approaches to improve the services delivery by hydrological and meteorological services. Yesterday, we got also a session on hydrological data that highlight the benefits of hydrological data and products. Today also, we have a very fruitful dialogue. We have so much learned throughout this session. I want to greet all of you for your active contributions. And the last thing I want to say is I want to call for more partnership to enable countries develop their hydrological capacities. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Okay.
And you may have noticed there is some food over on the sides of the room. We really appreciate your patience and staying here with us till the end. Help yourselves. Thank you so very much.